Next on Worcester News tonight, a city committee is looking to make changes to whose names can appear on war memorials in Worcester. Plus, a confirmed case of the mumps at a Worcester college. The school says they're working with city health officials. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. Worcester's Board of Health hears from a hospital about the growing issue of unclaimed bodies. UMass Memorial Medical Center says every year dozens of corpses are not claimed by family or loved ones. They're hoping to work with the city and state to find a final resting place. Our Cam Jandros live in Worcester tonight with those details. Cam?
Anna, tonight at the meeting, they discussed that there is a host of reasons why some of these bodies go unclaimed, be it someone is estranged from their family or the uptick in deaths from the recent opioid crisis. Now, the challenge is finding a way to get these bodies off of the hands of these local hospitals.
A growing amount of unclaimed bodies is a big concern at hospitals in Worcester.
Over a year, probably 20 to 30.
Monday, representatives from UMass Memorial Medical Center took their concerns to the city's Board of Health. They say if a body hasn't been claimed in 7 days, they begin the search for family members.
When a thorough search like that has been conducted and still she's not able to locate anybody, then we would look to manage disposition ourselves.
Disposition is what has become an issue for hospitals in Massachusetts. Under current state law, a local Board of Health can request cremation of an unclaimed body, but only if a relative doesn't come forward for 30 days.
This is definitely a public health issue. These folks are not embalmed and can be there for some time.
The Board of Health says a cremation carries less of a cost when compared to a burial. However, a funeral home must be willing to accept the body.
Costs are not always covered, and so we really want to work with the state delegation and also with the funeral homes to look at ways that we can address this issue long term.
Now, there are hospitals in the city, or funeral homes rather, in the city of Worcester who are known for taking control of these unclaimed bodies. One example is Grand Putnam here in the city. The goal is finding ways to more efficiently cremate or bury these bodies. Live in Worcester tonight, I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
The city's Committee on Veterans and Military Affairs is looking into changing the eligibility requirements to be on a memorial. Right now, a veteran must have died in action, gone missing in action, or was lost at sea in order to be listed on one of the city's war monuments. The new proposal would allow veterans who died within 120 days of being injured in combat. The committee, headed by at-large Councillor Mo Bergman, believes it's the appropriate thing to do.
I don't want to penalize folks from not having a family member be recognized because they had the wherewithal, if you want to put it that way, to live a little bit longer than the injuries usually would have allowed people to live. So I think it's a respectful thing to do. We're not going to be opening floodgates. We don't anticipate this to affect a lot of people, but it will affect some people.
The proposal goes in front of the City Council tomorrow night. Mechanics Hall hosts one of America's most decorated field bands and choruses for a free concert tonight. The United States Field Band and Soldiers Chorus made a stop in Worcester on day 21 of their nationwide tour. Mechanics Hall Executive Director Kathleen Gagney says the Army Field Band has been coming to Worcester for more than a decade, and the people of Worcester responded really well to the show.
Full house of very happy people. The Army Field Band and Soldiers Chorus are fine musicians, and we're delighted to have them on our stage.
Some members of the South High School Band were given the opportunity to play with the band and chorus tonight. For the next 12 days, the United Way of Central Massachusetts is asking people to intentionally do some good as part of the annual United for Good contest. If you do good or you see good, they ask you to take a picture and post it to Facebook with hashtag United for Good.
It inspires and encourages people to do good, to see good, and to tell the world about it. I read recently of one of the biggest business people in America who said the most important thing that all of their employees want is purpose and meaning, not just in their work, but in their lives. United for Good does that.
Each day between now and April 12th, a photo of the day will be selected, and the United Way will donate $100 to the winner's favorite Central Massachusetts nonprofit. A grand prize winner will be chosen at the annual community celebration on May 9th at Mechanics Hall, and $1,000 will be donated to their nonprofit of choice. A local group is calling out the administration of the Worcester Public Schools, saying they're not doing enough to help Latino students and students of color. But Superintendent Maureen Benenda says she's been working hard to help address issues the students are facing. Our Chandler Walsh has more.
A community group says the Worcester Public Schools aren't doing enough for Latino students and students of color who combined make up more than 60% of the district. The Worcester Coalition of Education Equity is calling on the school committee to not renew Superintendent Maureen Benenda's contract. They also want to remove School Safety Director Rob Pizzella.
It is not sound to consider extending the contract, and that the practices around disciplinary action should not be relegated to an individual that's not an educator and that clearly has misused his authority.
The coalition says according to data from the state, there's a 10% dropout rate for English language learners, and Latinos and students of color are suspended at a rate more than double of white students.
An issue that we all need to take an interest in, because these kids are in our schools now, but they're the future of our economy, of our city.
Superintendent Benenda says she has never met with the coalition. She says she's aware there's a gap between school suspensions of white students and Latino students, and meets with many groups to address it.
Looking to really find a really good recommended group to come in and work with our principals and our assistant principals, and then have them train our teachers on whether or not there are some biases that we don't know.
The coalition says the district needs to hire a diversity officer, a more diverse staff, and reevaluate how disciplinary actions are determined. Benenda says funding is a big challenge, but the district will use resources from the city.
We would like to look at practices for hiring and retaining teachers of color. We'd like to be able to consult with the city's chief diversity officer.
The coalition is looking for people to attend Thursday's school committee meeting in support. Benenda says overall, in and out of house suspensions are down by 30 to 40% since last year, and long-term suspensions are down by 18%. In Worcester, Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
A Worcester auto body shop owner is charged in connection to an extensive motor vehicle fraud scheme. He's accused of more than $170,000 in theft. Attorney General Mara Healy's office says Adam Haddad, the owner of Accurate Collision on Millbury Street, further damaged vehicles he was going to repair. Surveillance video from one of his businesses allegedly shows him using mallets and sledgehammers to damage the vehicles of 5 customers. Haddad also owns a business in Everett and will be arraigned in Worcester and Middlesex Superior Court at a later date. An old Grafton mill could soon be getting new life. The mill on Depot Street was deemed dangerous due to fire and safety codes in 2016. The manager of the mill is seeking a special permit from the town's planning board to turn it into a marijuana growing facility. They say they could produce more than 50,000 pounds of marijuana a year. A public hearing will provide the public with a detailed overview of the project. A confirmed case of the mumps at a Worcester college. The contagious but treatable infection has area health leaders investigating. It may also lead to a discussion about the importance of vaccinations. Our Rosalind Flaherty has the details.
An email sent by Assumption College last week alerts the college community a student has a confirmed case of the mumps.
I was a little bit overwhelmed just because I knew the mumps were serious.
I was kind of concerned for my own health.
The college says the student went to health services on March 28th complaining of a swollen gland. The school contacted the Massachusetts Department of Public Health and the test came back positive.
Our public health nurses are trying to do some of the forensics with the state epidemiologists to see exactly how that happened.
Dr. Michael Hirsch is the medical director of Worcester's Division of Public Health. He says it's the only confirmed case in the city. The mumps are a viral disease affecting children and people who aren't vaccinated. A person can be contagious 2 days before symptoms start and 2 days after they begin to feel better.
It is amazingly contagious. If you're standing in a room with someone with active mumps and you're not vaccinated, you have a 100% chance of getting the mumps. It's spread by respiratory droplets.
In the email, the school says they worked with the student to see who they came in contact with, including roommates, close friends, and one staff member. The school says the student will be kept in isolation until April 2nd. Students say they are happy with the way Assumption is handling the situation.
It seemed like the school was kind of taking the right precautions and kind of calming everything down and making sure that everyone was safe.
I feel like everybody heard about it.
Dr. Hirsch says they will be looking into this case more and will be doing public service lectures about the importance of vaccinations.
One would hope that most of the individuals in the campus are vaccinated. We hopefully will get the word out also through other methods around the city that, you know, now we've seen one and we don't want to see another if we can avoid it, for sure.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
The town of Shrewsbury has nearly doubled in the last 30 years, and the town's fire chief says his department needs to grow with the community. The chief says Shrewsbury has one of the lowest staffing levels per capita in the state. The department has 38 full-time firefighters, which is the same number of firefighters in 1987. Back then, they responded to close to 800 calls a year. Now, they respond to more than 4,000.
It's an inherently dangerous job, but basically you're putting the firefighters at risk. You're putting residents at risk if you pull up to a house and there's people that, you know, need assistance getting out of the house and you only have 2 people. It's difficult.
The chief says they plan to apply for more grant money to get an additional 8 firefighters.